I've caught you. I've
You
caught
caught
you,
me.
Joel. You've talked
You
yourself
have.
into a trap on
Oh
Teoscar
no.
Hernandez.
So you've got me. Let's say you've got me there.
I got you there. Look at
You
us.
got
Look
me
at
there.
us. We're arguing and we're coming to middle grounds. Patreon.com/the Walk Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there. Chad Green to the Blue Jays on a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal. No, it was a 4-year deal. Wait,
2-year deal, 2-team options.
3-year deal.
Yeah, 2-year deal with 2-team options.
So there's an opt out after this season for the Jays. They're committed to him.
Yeah, so this season and next season we have him on contract for 2 years. So this year and next year we have him. Then we follow that with 2 team options.
Okay, so my understanding is potentially 4 years.
Yes.
After this season, the Jays have an option to pick up all 3 years. They have to commit to 3. So at the end of this ball season, they say, Kate, here's $27 million for the next 3 years. We're good. If they decline that, Chad Green then has a single season player option where he can go, maybe he was slower to come back from Tommy John. Maybe he doesn't get in. Maybe he doesn't contribute right away. So he has some protection there. He could say, nope, I have a player option that he can invoke, say, give me one more season that gets him through 2024 and then free agency. If he turns that down, then we have then the team has a 2-year player or a 2-year team option. Yes. So, and that would take him through the 2025 season. So it wouldn't be, we wouldn't have a shot at the 3-year option, but we can, I guess, he could be with us for 1 to 4 years, and who knows how it's going to play out. Hopefully it's 4. I mean, if he's playing well, we're going to keep him for 4.
I kind of like the option construction there because Tommy John it's something that if you look at it, like, weirdly enough, I have some experience in this topic because I know Tommy John. I talked to him thoroughly about this. I wrote a screenplay about this. So it's just like, when it comes to certain topics, I know Tommy John. It can be anywhere from a year to 2 years. It usually sits around 16, 17 months to fully recover from it. That first year back is very tentative usually for the pitcher. They're not going out there and trying to hit their all-time velo max in that first comeback year.
Trying to avoid setbacks.
Yeah, Noah Syndergaard, known for throwing 100, was throwing 94 in his comeback year. Ohtani hit 101 in his second year back, right? Tommy John himself had about a 3.60 ERA in his comeback year, and then he dropped it to 2.70. So there's usually that year of getting your feet wet again and rebuilding all of those muscles from scratch because your arm isn't doing anything for a long period of time. So it's about getting all of that built back up. And then once you do, you very well have the potential to throw better than you ever have. It's still, Major League Baseball, we will draft players who we know are going to get Tommy John. It's gotten to that point of trust in the surgery, but there are situations out there. Remember, like Johnny Venters, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He had the surgery 3 times. So it sits roughly at about 80 to 90% in the success rate. But that's still a slight gamble on that 10%. Not everybody comes back perfect. We have a feeling that they do. Justin Verlander just came back better than ever, won a Cy Young after his Tommy John, right?
Most valuable player.
Yes, exactly. Most valuable. Yeah. Yeah. That was great. But I think we have the idea that it is a perfect surgery and they come back perfect every single time. But there is that little slight 10, 15% chance that there is a setback. They potentially need a second surgery. So that being said, Chad Green is one of the 7 best relievers in baseball over the last decade, probably 7 years with the Yankees. So he comes back being Chad Green, and that is an incredible pickup. That is an absolutely amazing back-end pickup for this bullpen, especially if you have the ability to lock him up for those remaining 3 years after.
Some points of clarification with Chad Green. Um, he'll be 32 years old this year.
Mm-hmm.
Made his MLB debut with the Tigers in 2013. So this 10 years in the league, like you said. Failed starter. So he was a starting pitcher. Went to the bullpen in New York, and that's where he really found success. Numbers as a starter, not spectacular, but again, I don't mean that as a dig at him. This is a very common career path for relief pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
The 2017 season, the numbers that I'm looking at in New York are just absurd. So 69 innings pitched over 40 games out of the bullpen for the Yankees with a 1.83 ERA and a whip of .739, which is...
Yeah, and his ceiling is that. His floor is probably like a 3.20 ERA, whip about $1.10.
Yeah.
Still giving you 60, 65 really, really good innings. And a really he can get hit, but he's coming at hitters and he throws strikes. And I think that's kind of everything that you want. It's just, if there's one issue, it's coming in August, hopefully, or next season, right? It's like, it's not here today. It's here tomorrow. So,
right. So here's what I like about the trade, or not the trade, the signing. I like that. I mean, would it be nice to have Chad Green all season long? Yeah, you betcha. Would it be nice to have a healthy mid-season form Ryu all season long? Yeah, you betcha. We're not going to get these guys until maybe August.
yeah.
Right? Like, again, that's if everything goes well.
Yeah.
We get some productivity out of them in August. These are like, if we look at it silver lining glass half full, these are trade deadline moves that don't cost us anything. Right? This is adding a starting pitcher in August without having to give anything up. This is adding a relief bullpen arm, an Adam Simber, a Trevor Richards, a Chad Green, mid-August, where we're just adding to a, probably worn out bullpen and not having to give anything up, which, again, leaves us more opportunity to give stuff up for a different reason, right? So I love that in that regard.
To make a weird comparison to Anthopoulos and what he did in his World Series run, was he acquired players that were injured, knowing that his team would be able to weather the storm to the playoffs when that person comes back and becomes an element that puts them over the top to be that World Series contender, right? So we've seen it work recently to incredible success. And like I said, it's just the only negative drawback is like there's like an Andrew Chafin out there. There's a few other names out there that you're saying it's great to get that guy in August, but if we have 4 bad months where we needed somebody, we have to get there, right?
Totally.
And I
Can't
do have
put the cart before the horse. I get that.
Yeah, I do have confidence that this team will get to the point this season where Chad Green is then a really valuable piece, right?
Do you think that like expanded playoffs has a role in this approach to building a team that like where you look at what the Phillies did and the run they went on last year, where like literally all you got to do is sneak in and then anything can happen, right? So like there is maybe more of a willingness to take a risk on a guy like this, where it's like, all right, we still need to get there, but like, man, if we can just get there and then add a guy who's joining us in September and just really put us over the top. Right. Whereas like before, if there wasn't expanded playoffs, it's like, no, we need to just do everything we can to even get there.
The Phillies were mocked so much last year for their concept of like, we don't care about balls dropping in. We're just going to smash more, and they got really mocked. That was like, literally, you don't go to that level of no defense. It's like you bring Kyle Schwarber, and you don't have Schwarber and Castellanos. That's like, that's embarrassing. That's 2 guys that you're trying to cover for, but you're like, oh, let's have them both in. And So they went for their identity. There's so many different ways to win in the game of baseball. Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Guardians, sorry, that's still a lingering effect on me.
Right.
Guardians took that step mid-season knowing that the balls kind of weren't flying out of the ballpark, and you see that slap approach that Francona kind of put on that Cleveland Guardians team, and they base hit their way to a division and to playoff success. So it's just like, yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's an interest. Every year there's so many different things that are being applied to the game, and you just have no idea how it's going to pan, especially this year, right? So many changes being put on the game and the stadium. Then we're applying the dimensional changes as well, right? So many factors that are all coming in, and we just have no idea what's going to happen.
How many times do you think, if that series between the Astros and the Phillies, they play 10 times, how many times did the Phillies win that series?
Oh, I don't think too many. Like I think when you get to that matchup against Houston is like, you can, don't get me wrong, you can miracle your way to a World Series and have a team that doesn't, like the Braves, 88 win World Series. Nationals were like a 1% chance in going into June that year to win the World Series. You can miracle a World Series. You absolutely can. But Houston, when you're going up against Houston, that just really seems like proper construction on all levels, right? Like defense where you need it, youth and where you need it, the batting, the pitching, the bullpen. It's like there's going to be a team. The expectations have been on the Dodgers for the last 5 years. This year, they took kind of a little step back for the first time in recorded, last 10 years of the Dodgers. Usually they're always going forward. But you have that expectation of that perfectly built ball club that has it in all levels, just beating that fluke team. But you can miracle a World Series, right?
See, I'd put the number at like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'm
2 or
there,
3 out of 10.
Yeah. I think Houston takes it about that as well.
And I think that's where the Braves, you mentioned the Braves, right? And the run they went on in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like 2 out of 3 for the Braves. Like it went their way.
Yeah, that was a little different. Like Verlander was injured that year. They didn't have Pena. No, did they? They had Correa.
But this is what I mean. Like this is where you just swap those two teams. You swap the Phillies and the Braves. It could be the same outcome, right? Like that might be what the factor needed to have been for the Phillies to have won 2 out of 3.
That's true.
Was just they run into a weakened version of them, right? So that for me is where I'm like, Alex Anthopoulos, great GM, but also he has a ring, but he did it on like everything just kind of worked out, right? So like there's a little bit of luck in there when he's a 2 to 3 out of 10 opportunity to win a World Series, and it just went his way and he got it. So I just want to.
Since leaving the Jays, he does have 7 divisions in a row. So that's not like he's putting his chances out there to go 2 out of 3 in the World Series quite often. So
all right, that's valid. That's valid. All right, I can't argue with that. I can't argue with banners in the rafters.